Okay, here we are at the second part of the flat five. Remember the flat five? The flat five will come down like that chromatically. But from your, up the lazy river by the open road, it'll come down like that. But anyway, we were on Yesterdays, and I was going back and forth between C minor and D minor. Let's stay in C minor. Now, also after I mentioned that you could go like, you could go F major, F minor, straight F minor, D flat, major 7. You could also go like, that's a C, C minor. You could also go like, we went to F minor, you could go to make it an F minor 6, which would be like a D minor 7 flat 5. An F minor 6 is the same notes. An F minor 6 chord is the same notes as a D minor 7 flat 5. And a D minor 7 flat 5 leads to a G7. D minor 7 flat 5 leads to a G7. Right? Because you're going, remember that? We were on the E minor 7 flat 5 to the A7, D minor 7 flat 5 to the G7. So if you go yester, now you treat that as like a D minor 6, or D minor 7 flat 5, or an F minor 6. That leads to the, you can lead it to the G7, you see? You can go like, see, which leads you back to the C minor, da 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 da. Now you can go da 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 da. You can bring it down. You can bring the C down from there on that C minor. Da 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 da. And here you are at the da 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 da, which generally is treated like a C minor with a 6th, the A. C minor 6 leads to what? To a D7. So C minor 6 leading to a D7. Then you can put the flat 5 in the D7. Then it goes to G7 augmented melody, G7, and then you can put the C and flat 5 inside that, and then F, B flat, flat 5, and on the B flat, to E flat, and then A flat 9, A flat with a 9 melody, A flat, melody's F, looks like an F minor to D minor 7, to a G, that's the G is the suspension in there. Then you're back to flat 5 in that G7. Now I say ba ba ba, I say ba 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 ba, B, C minor with the added 6th, C minor 6 to the D7, flat 5. G, augmented, G7 augmented to the C9, flat 5, to the F7, F9, F7, B flat, 9, flat 5, E flat, here to the A flat, with the 9 melody. Yesterday. See, so it's like yesterday. I just brought the melody up, and you could bring it up with that, right? You know, straight on up like that. But I just brought it up, so I'll just do it very simple so you'll see it. So I'm not even putting the E flat. See, I can put that E flat in there. Get that kind of sound of an E minor. I can put this, get that sound of an E minor. Now, what do you want there? The D flat major 7 is really the real modern one, with a D flat under it. It's a D flat under a F minor chord. So if I just do it simple, just 2 G's and a C. See, there's the E flat and the C minor. So let's do the here's the now I won't move lines in it. I won't move the da, 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 da. I'll just move the da, 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 melody da, 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 da. And that leads to that C minor, and that leads to the C minor where they add the 6th. Melodies open A to the D7 or the D7 here. Now I don't have to put the flat 5 in if I don't want. Augmented G7. Now I don't have to put the flat 5 in there. If I don't want to, down to B flat, I don't have to put the flat 5 in there. I can just go from now the song Yesterday's is two halves. It's the same thing, and the second time a lot of bands don't make it continue and don't make it resolve. But the second time you can resolve it. You could go ba, 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 but it just shows you all those different movements, because that tune goes to a cycle of fifths after it goes. It's just going up to a. It could be a D7 with a flat 9. And then it could be a G7 augmented to C7, and then F9 or F7 to B flat and E flat. It could be a million different things. So that's what happens when you start adding those lines, movements in there of your flat 5s, your flat 9s, your different stuff. We will have to get back later to the whole tone scale, because that it works in a lot here, because that starts to land with the augmented chords. Is your whole tone scale. So we'll get back to all that stuff later. But if you really want to go ahead and go through all this modern music theory, we can. What it does is it builds lines, and it uses the tone colors throughout the song. The things you don't have to have. When you're there and you're playing, you know, if I play da 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 da, could just be da da da, just could be a D7. Da da da, G da da da, C da da, that's a D7. C to F, B flat to E flat to A flat, da da. It's just a G7. Gets you back, but you put a D minor before to the G7. So if I just did a simple do, D7 to G7, C7 to F7, B flat 7 to E flat, da da, A flat, da da, G7, back da. Now if that were simple, I'd just use an F chord and after C minor, da da da, C minor, F da 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 da, B7 to G7, C7 to F7, B flat to E flat, A flat, G7. That's simply what happens in the song. All that other stuff in between those lines coming down, while the other line goes up, just make interesting stuff, just interesting counterpoint, interesting lines, interesting tone colors going on during what's going on. So now we've kind of hit a little bit on the flat 5. So what I do is take a D7, flat to 5, right? And then I take it, I'm just doing the same thing coming down, you see. You could have gone, you could have done all kinds of things, because that's the cycle of fifths. And the cycle of fifths in music, chromatics, and the cycle of fifths become chromatics. They all become chromatics, and what modern music does is it does a lot of chromatic stuff, like I showed you on where you use that augmented ninth, the augmented ninth, which is the minor tone against the major tone in a C7 chord, which was out here. I showed you if you use those and you know, you can play the blues, because this C would go to this F, which would eventually go to that G and back to that C. So we're playing the blues. I got the blues, can't you hear me? The blues I long to sing. Here comes the F, the blues, oh hear me. The blues, see I long to sing. G, I'm going out, I'm going away from the blue. You see, it's all a matter of using all the things at your disposal, and those things are just in and out. They're in and out. They're half steps after you get going, which makes all that chromatic stuff, which makes very modern music a lot of notes and a lot of stuff going on inside of it. If you simplify the modern music, you don't have to have all those notes going on. They get too many for me, is what happens. Of course, maybe that's because I've got 4 notes here that I work with most of the time. But even on a keyboard, when I'm playing on a keyboard, it gets too cluttered for me. But you can see why. You can see guitar players, you can see piano players just grab a handful. And they use those blocks because it's a chromatic kind of thing, you know. You're using all the different things at your disposal. Anything. So if we want more, we can go on from here. But that's two little bit of studies in a flat 5 going in and out. But remember, the first song I did was A Train. Now A Train, we play with Woody Allen because A Train we just treat it like a D7 chord. A Train is a simple little chord. The only strange thing is that gives it that sound when they put that flat 5 in the D7 chord. But A Train is like that's a D7. See, it's a D7, little flat 5, D minor, G7, C. You see, so it's a simple little song, and you can play it as a simple little song. Was a great band in France. They're called the Anachronic Jazz Band, and if you have a chance to get a hold of that, you can hear guys who know the modern side and they know the traditional side. Now, most Americans either pick one or the other and stay in there. But those guys in Europe and around the rest of the world, they see the value of the simplicity and the value of the other. So they can do that. And the Anachronic Jazz Band, which I don't believe exists anymore, some of the players are still around, but they used to take a Thelonious Monk tune and play it like it was King Oliver. And then they would take a King Oliver tune and play it like it was Thelonious Monk. And it's very simple to do that. Now, a very simple tune to take out of bebop. Charlie Parker was the king of bebop, he and Dizzy Gillespie. But if you take Charlie's Yardbird Suite and you look at one of my other YouTubes, look it up, put it on the thing, look it up, you can see me playing Yardbird Suite, and it's just like the A Train. It's just a simple little tune in the C. So you can see what happens when you use a different chromatic and different kind of stuff that goes with the more other kind of style a bit. But anyway, that's enough for now. If we want more, I got plenty more for wherever that goes. But that's 2 versions of the flat 5 within the other things of music theory.